Time to stuff yourself. Oh my god. First one. Yummy.
Everyone knows what it means to be a doctor, a lawyer, or a teacher. In this series, we spotlight unique profiles with untypical jobs you've probably never heard of to tell us what they do and how they got here. In a truth or dare format, each profile will draw question cards from the deck and attempt to answer hard truths about their profession. For every question that they cannot answer, they will have to perform a surprise dare as an alternative.
Hi, I'm Vivian. I'm a taxidermist and I preserve dead animals for a living. And I'm the founder of Black Crow Taxidermy and Art. This is exciting. Truth. What do taxidermists really do? So taxidermy is the art of preserving skin, or in this case, animals, just using the skin to make them look as alive as possible. And all of this is for science, so that we can study it more in the future because it doesn't rot, or even for art, just for people to appreciate it. Do you have friends or family members who disapprove of your work? All my friends and family are actually super supportive. My mom would sometimes pick up dead animals for me, and my friends would actually send me pictures or even the locations of some roadkills. Actually, they learn a lot more about animal parts from what I do as well. How much do you actually earn from this business? I only started going commercial for the past 1 month. I haven't tabulated the data yet. Definitely more than 2K, but it also depends on the commission pieces that I get, because the chemicals are actually very expensive and inaccessible. And of course, you have to have a studio or a lab, so all of those things are actually pretty much costly, and art materials are definitely not cheap. What would you do if you suspected that the client had acquired an animal through illegal means? In Singapore here, our government checks a lot of things. I do not deal with any endangered animals unless it is contracted by the government. For example, to preserve perhaps a dead animal that passed on from the zoo. It is impossible for the member of the public to actually get an animal such as a tiger, a flamingo, and if I do get one, the first thing I do is actually to notify the authorities to check if they actually have the legal documents to keep the animal. What was the weirdest reason someone gave to preserve an animal? So far, there is no weird reason.
If you don't have a weird reason, then you have to draw a dare card.
Oh my god, mimic the sounds of this animals. Koel bird, the very annoying bird, you know, that you hear every morning. It's in my head, but I don't really remember how they sound like. I only remember cuckoo bird though. Cuckoo, cuckoo. Sea lion. I think they go a bit like something like that, I guess. And a fox, they do some sort of weird laugh like I'm not good at this. Is there something you morally disagree with about your job? Before this, I was a scientist, still a scientist and a researcher. In the name of science, we actually sacrifice and euthanize a lot of little animals, you know, that we do tests on. And that is something that I do not agree with. That is something that I hold on to in Black Crow Taxidermy and Art, that there is no killing at all. So everything must be ethically sourced. Let's say if you're a member of a public, you want me to preserve a cat, but if you purposely harm the cat or even kill the cat, I will not take it. What are some of the biggest misconceptions regarding taxidermy? One of the biggest misconceptions about taxidermy is that it revolves around black magic and witchcraft, which is entirely false, because taxidermy is a branch of science. For example, like the London Museum, the Natural History Museums all over the world, they use taxidermy to preserve some animals that are already extinct, to bring it back to study even up till now. You can still see the specimens around. How does working on dead animals influence your values and your perspective of the natural world? A lot of emotional questions right here. I get emotional when I get like carcasses or even dead insects because they have such short lifespan, just like the Atlas moth or even the Luna moth we find here in Singapore. They live 2 weeks plus or even 3 weeks, you know, from an egg to a cocoon. And once they emerge from the cocoon or the pupa, they only live for a minimum of 3 hours and a maximum of 7 days. So these are very magnificent creatures. You actually learn how to appreciate life more. Compared to human beings, we actually live around like 60 to 80, but for insects, everything moves so fast-paced. And a lot of people here in Singapore, because this is such an urban jungle, no one actually get to appreciate them because most of them are nocturnal and they are in the reserves. So we have to appreciate the natural world way more.
What about your job that keeps you going?
It is my aim and perhaps a personal goal to make things beautiful again, and especially when they are dead and rotten, people don't appreciate them, in that form. For example, if you see a skull, you will never think that I actually have to manually skin it, dig out the eyes, the brains, and everything that's inside. But what they see is like, oh, the skull is really beautiful, it's really well preserved, it doesn't stink, and I am actually very curious what animal this is. So that is my goal, to make people curious, to make people want to learn more about the animals. Never have I ever frozen an animal and forgot about it. Oh, no. It is always in the back of my mind that says like, you haven't preserved this yet, because you can't freeze an animal for too long or they will have freezer burn. So when freezer burn happens, you can't preserve it well anymore.
Since you haven't forgot, do you want to draw there just for fun?
Okay, time to stuff yourself. Oh my god, chubby bunny. Okay, I've always wanted to try this. It's just a shame that, we can't grill it first. Okay, so the first one. Yummy. Here, come on. Yummy.
How do you feel being stuffed?
I mean, it's delicious, so okay, it's good. This is funny. Never have I mistaken a preserved animal for a living animal. When I was younger, you go for Ripley's Believe It or Not, and you have all those animals behind the case, and I do get terrified, like, is this a living one or is this a preserved one? So yes, you can actually mistaken a preserved animal for a living one. And when people do come to my studio, when they see the rabbits, they'll be like, oh, okay, is that a real rabbit? Is that a real butterfly?
What is a telltale sign of something that is preserved?
I would say go for the eyes, because the eyes, you can never replicate it 100% to how it looks like when it's alive. You don't have a soul in them. We always use glass eyes or acrylic eyes or even bead eyes to replace the animal's eyes. And that is one thing that we can never preserve, because you have the round eyeballs, but when you preserve it in chemicals, it all got shrunken and it won't look real anymore. Okay, assemble the pieces of an animal skeletal picture. This is definitely a wildcat. Okay, so we have the main body part. This is the tail, little leg, head, spine. This one might be front. This is the back, so this is the front. Yep. Hey, so we have a big cat over here.
How could you tell it's a cat?
All the very big fangs over here, and then this is bulky. Domesticated cat skeleton is much tinier, but it's similar because they are all from the feline family. You can't really tell much from the rib cage, but you can definitely tell from their paws. Cats, they have retractable claws. So we've come to the end of our episode. If you enjoyed the episode as much as I did, please hit the share, like and subscribe button at itsclarity.co. Bye!